Don't be suspicious, 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 don't be suspicious,
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Oh, what is up, boys and girls? It is your boy Mad Cow here, coming at you live with some brand new content, and as well as some brand new quality. That is right. I'm no longer recording on Mixer and then uploading that way, but instead I went out, I nutted up, I spent a little bit of money, and now we've actually got some quality content here, or at least some quality captures. My voice and audio overwork is probably leaving something to be desired, but we'll get into that later. Today we're going to be diving into the history and review of the AUG, Call of Duty Modern Warfare. But before we get into that, I want to give a brief shout out to D_fresh_310. You are a God King, sir. Please look at this beautiful drop shot. I aspire to be as good as you one day. Please teach me your skills, you freaking legend. Now back to our regularly scheduled content. Here we have the AUG in Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Let's take a quick look at it with no attachments. And dang, shouty is thick. And I do not say that lightly. Look at this booty. I'm talking CK here, boys and girls. Thick. And now let's look at the class I used for this thick goddess. I used the monolithic suppressor, the 407mm extended barrel, Merc foregrip, stippled grip tape, and forged tack comb. Then we go to customize. I've got my fancy camouflage, no charm. Maybe I'll put the Doge charm on here. Nah, it looks cleaner without the Doge. Let's take it off. Then for my stickers, we've got the rose, because every rose has its thorn, as we all know. And then remarkable marksman, because I am what I am. Mr. Know-It-All, because I knows what I know. Then for my sidearm, I've got the M19. Currently trying to work on the camo for that. Perks, EOD, Ghost, Tracker, Lethal Throwing Knife, and of course Tacticals. Then in my last video, I noticed that I didn't really go over my kill streaks. I usually run Cruise Missile, VTOL, then Chopper Gunner. For my field upgrades, I run Dead Silence and Tactical Insert. Sometimes I'll swap for the stopping power rounds. For my watch, I use the Emblem Precision 2, which shows my fancy emblem there. And now let's get right into some gameplay and some history and review of the AUG in Call of Duty Modern Warfare. So please forgive me, my clip messed up a little bit and started a couple seconds in, but we'll be playing Groznyj Raid Domination, another great map in this game. Except for sometimes it can get a little wonky when you play Domination, but for Headquarters and Hardpoint, it's pretty good. So now for some of that juicy content we know and love so much. The AUG is formerly known as the Steyr AUG, or the Steyr Army Universal Gewehr. No, it is not Gewehr, it is Gewehr. It was designed in the 1960s by Austrian Steyr Daimler Puch and is still manufactured by his company to this day. It was partially designed as a replacement for another loved Call of Duty gun, the FNFAL, or the Sturmgewehr 58. The Sturmgewehr having the larger 7.62 NATO cartridge, and the replacement AUG being calibrated in the smaller 5.56 NATO cartridge. It was fully adopted by the Austrian Army in 1977, which is where it got its other name as the Sturmgewehr 77, and has since been adopted as the automatic rifle of choice by numerous militaries around the world. This gun has a bullpup design, which was first attempted by the French around the 1920s, only to later be perfected and gain popularity with this weapon. The bullpup design is characterized by having the major working components of the weapons, as well as the magazine and ejection system, focused on the rear end of the weapon. This has started to gain popularity recently thanks to its improving shorter range accuracy, which is ideal for the combat it's used in. Looking at this weapon, it certainly does not look like something that was designed in the 70s. It has a certain futuristic look for this time. Did I mention how thick it was? Because damn, shawty is thick. CK. The AUG is a gas-operated weapon, very similar to the AK-47 and M16. The grip of the rifle is a very ergonomical pistol grip style, which allows for a solid grip with a slim handguard protecting it. Typically, these came standard with a folding vertical grip beneath the barrel. At the top of the weapon comes the famous Swarovski scope, which can be used in Call of Duty. This was used not only as a standard issue optic, but as a fancy carrying handle as well. This could also be removed and swapped to any Picatinny mountable sight. This weapon also comes with a cool option of changing the ejection port side, making it fully ambidextrous weapon. Another super cool feature of this weapon that was somewhat new at the time was the trigger system. It utilized what is known as a two-stage trigger, where no fire selector was used, but instead the amount of pressure you applied would determine single shot or automatic fire. The weapon also utilizes a quick change barrel, which allows for a quick change of the barrel to serve the purpose of different combat roles. Then, with slightly more modification internally, you can arrive at the submachine gun used in Call of Duty. This allows for the 9mm round replacement of the 5.56 NATO. This version of the AUG is known as the AUG Para, and there are a number of other different variations of the AUG where the weapon utilizes different barrels, sights, and other attachments to serve many different roles. The AUG is a sound weapon and is used all around the world still to this day, and in some places it even replaced our beloved M16A2. So, that is a brief history on the AUG of Call of Duty. Now let's get into the in-game review. So, things that I love about the AUG is while it may lack a little bit of stopping power, the range is pretty good still. And also the recoil is very manageable considering. The rate of fire is very solid. Being that it is a submachine gun, it also has a great level of mobility, which allows you to close the distance on your enemies, which can be pretty crucial with the smaller caliber weapons. One thing I also love is the way that Call of Duty worked in the flexibility of the real life gun through the available attachments. For example, when I was doing the long shot kills for this gun, I swapped out the 9mm to the available 5.56 rounds. Using those essentially turned this thick goddess into a full-on assault rifle. Then, if you throw on some additional range attachments, you can pretty much watch it shred. The people that use this gun are also cool, which I definitely chalk up to things I love. They are typically not sweat buckets, which definitely makes me like the gun a little bit more. Keep it up, guys. I really like you trying different things and, not kind of shaping to the mold there, eh? Some things that I hate. One issue that I found was the magazine size. I found myself killing one and then two, but the third person would typically get me. This could be resolved by swapping out one of the attachments that I use to the larger magazine, which has the 32 rounds. There's also the issue of the stopping power. It leaves a little bit to be desired, but not game breaking. I also feel that some of the other SMGs pack a little bit more of a punch, so I kind of took that as a hit to the AUG. Also, on occasion, I could find it somewhat difficult to hit the longer range shots without burst firing slightly. But again, I feel that that is probably something that you could resolve if you swapped out for the right attachments and had a different playstyle. Which now brings us to our overall ranking. And I decided that the AUG gets a solid 8 out of 10. It is a solid weapon with a few minor issues that can be fixed with the right attachments. The issue is finding the perfect balance. If you toy around with it and keep your playstyle in mind, you will ultimately find a version of it that you will love and can probably be pretty successful with. For me personally, I tried to add just a little bit of range, but also keep the mobility and the ADS up. I feel that my playstyle is somewhat aggressive, so I try to push, close the distance, and then kill. So range is not the top issue for me. It's more, being able to ADS and things like that. But definitely something to consider is think about how you like to play the game and then set up your AUG to play that way. So if you like to hit targets from range and camp a little bit more like the Boy Scouts of America, throw on some of those longer range attachments and the larger rounds, the 5.56 NATO rounds, and I think you'll be all right. If you like to play a little bit more aggressive and push and get in people's faces, definitely look at the loadout that I set up for this. But anyway, guys, that is going to wrap up our history and review on the AUG in Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you did, please drop a like and subscribe. Also, feel free to send a comment on the gun you'd like to see done next or another video game that you would like to see this style of video done with. And as always, I will be attaching the full gameplay video link in the description below. Feel free to check that out as well if you'd like to see the full gameplay with no commentary. And I'll have the scoreboard popping up here shortly so you can get an idea what you'll be in store for. Thanks, guys, and as always, stay frosty.
Up and saying, "Girl, you're thicker than a bowl of oatmeal."